Welcome to the HAYVN Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders, owners, and professionals are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Hear from industry experts on everything from marketing, leadership, financing, and more. Brought to you by HAYVN, a co-working space where you can connect, create, and get stuff done.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the HAYVN Hubcast. I'm your host, Nancy Sheed, and today we are going to be talking all things connecting, community, curating, networking, everything with the connector extraordinaire, Penny Goffman. Penny, welcome to the HAYVN Hubcast.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I am so excited to be here today. I feel like there's so much synergy and I feel very grateful.
So we were talking before, and a lot of times we kind of go through this like, so tell me, is this what you wanted to be when you grow up? But I feel like when you are a people person, you're a connector, you're a curator, that through line probably has followed you. You weren't an introvert who suddenly became this type of connector. Walk us through kind of what was the through line of you being this connector when you were younger?
So I guess one would say that I've always been social. I'm sure that my parents would describe me that way. I had it's true. I had lots of friends. Making friends was never an issue. Even though I grew up technically with a half sister and brother, they were so much older than me that I basically grew up almost like an only child. And my parents would take me on vacation and I'd make friends everywhere I went. And I basically have had that people person energy from a very young age and was thrown into all sorts of social situations. And in any sink or swim, I would always swim. I never sank. So it's always been there per se.
Right. And then I'm just curious because you and I have this in common. How did that come out as you start getting to be middle school and high school? Does this mean you're like the ringleader for things in school? Does this mean you're the party planner? Does this mean that you're the club starter of clubs that were in your school? I just love hearing how it plays out and starts affecting your trajectory when you're thinking about what you're going to do when you grow up.
I think I've never had a fear of putting myself in social situations. And there is certainly a level of confidence that catapulted that. Now, as a child or even teenager, I didn't know that. People would often, especially I would say as I really came into my own when I moved to New York City in my 20s, people would constantly tell me that they really loved my energy. And I never really understood what that meant. I don't think that the word energy was thrown around back then. But we know that it really is this real, actual, tangible feeling that people get when they're around you. That you either lift them up and make them want more to you. It's almost, I would say, an attraction. We are attracted to certain energies. And I think I've always been able to use that in my favor, even when I didn't understand its power or the stratosphere of what it was to make people want to smile around you, make people want to talk more to you, have people want you to bring them into your orbit. That's how I would really explain it. I think there is this confidence and ability for people to really want to stay in your orbit. They want more of it. They want to be connected with your experiences. They want to be connected with your networks and communities. And even when I think back to high school, it's certainly there were elements of that came to really grow and bloom as I developed and as my confidence expanded and my network expanded. But certainly it was always there. I definitely took leadership roles in my high school experiences. I'm actually Canadian. And so our kind of clubs and how the schools worked are different than traditional schools here in the United States. But yes, I led a very big kind of fashion show. It was yearly in my high school, and it was myself and 3 others in my grade. And always when you were in your graduating year, the entire grade voted on who would lead that. And that was always in my stratosphere. And I always believed I could do it as well. So yes, I think from an early stage, I was a connector without knowing that I was. And then through various sort of career pivots and really aligning with that strategy, I was able to develop it into a career.
Before we get off and as we move into thinking about how it affected your career, I'm curious because similarly, being a connector or chatting with people or bringing people together came naturally to you, or it did to me. I assumed it came naturally to everybody. And I remember at some point, you talk about people saying your energy, but at some point realizing from friends, like, this is not the way everybody operates in the world. So how did that play out to you when you're like, what? Everybody doesn't like think about the world this way? Like, they don't think that it's great to bring people together or make introductions. That's not their first go-to. Did you start realizing that when you were younger, or was it more, as you said, you were leveraging it in your career or you were bringing it into your career?
So I don't think I had that assumption actually, because again, as a teenager, all the words that I'm using to basically label myself, they weren't in my vocabulary then. And I really didn't think at all about whether I was introvert or extrovert, whether I was a people person, whether I was a connector. It was just something that was organically and authentically happening that I can look back on. So I never thought about people playing different roles in that way. However, it is helpful as an adult now. It is helpful to view it that way because it also helps you support others who may not feel comfortable in groups. It helps to identify. I'm able to walk into a room at an event and identify the person who might be struggling with pitching themselves or introducing themselves or making friends. And I'm able to now invite them in an organic, authentic way, help guide them, help comfort them, help hold their hand, quite literally, actually, sometimes. So I do think it is helpful, but I make no assumption that just in any way, shape, or form that other people have the same strengths, weaknesses, challenges, wins as I do.
I love the actual like holding of hand or the touching of somebody's elbow, right? Or the reaching out or the shaking of hands. In terms of as you started moving into your career, how did it guide some of your career decisions or your sort of career path?
Well, we could go really far back, but let's start, I think, because I've had many career pivots. I am a risk taker. I'm not scared of transitions, or I think being able to pivot in career and business, whether you're working for someone else or yourself, is critical. And I think sometimes is the difference between success and what we might call quote unquote mistakes or failure. So I have had lots of different kind of hats, but I would start back to about 2015 when I launched my own fashion brand called Jolie Boutique. And I owned the only mobile fashion boutique in Fairfield County and one of the only in the tri-state. And through that experience where this mobile fashion boutique was hitting up pop-up shops and private events throughout the tri-state area, I got to connect with so many communities. And the forte, the sweet spot was really these intimate, curated experiences and events. So it would be 20 to 30 women getting together. And here I was, the founder and owner, being able to style and help women express themselves through fashion in these small, intimate experiences that sometimes I'd help put together, or they would host and put together, and I would attend with the mobile fashion boutique. And I think that's probably one of the first moments where I realized that actually my ability to really integrate into events and experiences and really be able to make introductions and deepen and hold on to relationships, that this was going to be a strength that was going to take me into all different sorts of areas. And that became really, really exciting because each new relationship that I built through that experience, some of them till this day are business partners of mine, are contacts that I go to regularly and that we've worked together time and time again. And even with HAYVN, making reconnection with Felicia was based off of a connection that we had when I worked somewhere previously.
Nice.
So I started to really understand through that first experience of being a business owner what it was to really foster and deepen a relationship and the power, especially professionally, of authentically building a relationship and keeping in contact with someone. That was kind of the first light bulb moment, which then, of course, grew and evolved as I became head of community at Hey Mama, sold that business, and really was the forward facing community builder of a private membership community for moms in business, and made contacts sometimes digitally that I never ever met. Many, actually, I would say, all over the country. And yet to this day, even though I'm no longer with Hey Mama as it was acquired, these are not just business relationships, they're friendships, they're people that I'm constantly voice messaging with over Instagram or text for advice, business contacts. We are in constant touch. So the power, I think you really have to experience the power of just one connection to really understand where it can catapult you.
I'm listening very closely to your themes of authenticity, real connection, and power. I know in having heard you speak and as you run the HAYVN POWERUp, which we'll talk about, there's a different vibe the way women do it. And there's a different vibe the way women business owners do it. And it has these common things. It has these things in common, like authenticity, like you use the word friendships, you use the word power. Talk a little bit about that in terms of, I think some people will sort of think, oh, connector, that means I have to network, or that means networking. And you approach it very differently. And I think, and with that authenticity of, it's not a transaction. It really is a relationship. Talk a little bit about that.
It truly cannot be a transaction. And I think that I know people present day who approach every introduction as a sales pitch. And I see it over and over, sometimes with the same people. And I just know that they're going to hit a wall there. It's really off-putting, actually. And once you've seen the movie play out several times, you really want to have nothing to do with it, because no one wants to be constantly sold to.
Right.
I think that there is some sort of art to introducing yourself to someone, and people are smart. Women are smart. That's my forte. My forte is really in the female founder, female leadership space. We are brilliant. We can spot out the person who's just in it for the sales pitch to buy their services and their product. We can spot that out a mile away. I love to approach connection, networking, building community as a relationship builder, like you mentioned. And for me, in my very first introductions, there are times where in last asked, I may not mention at all what I'm even doing. Also, because I sometimes feel like I'm in transition now, so I'm doing so many different things. So it's a little bit of a long story. So there's that element too.
You tell me about you. You tell me about you, and I'll figure out how I can fit into this conversation.
Exactly. But it really is. You're right, Nancy. I want to learn. I want to sit back and listen. I want to take in what someone else is doing, what their passions are, what's driving them. Because here's what happens. And this is something I really do think that a person can develop and also strategize on if it doesn't come naturally. While someone is telling you about themselves, if you are truly listening, then really what's happening in the background is that you are connecting all the dots. As I speak to people, my brain is in overload. I am thinking immediately about, who does this person need to be connected to? Who do I know that's in this space already? What am I doing currently that they could fit into? When do I think is an appropriate time for that? And what is their energy? Do I feel like I could work with them? Do I feel like there's synergy here and alignment? Or if not for me, then who else? So while someone is talking and I'm taking in the information, I am connecting all these dots. And it's like all the neurons are like firing off on all cylinders because I am constantly in the process of thinking through that connection and that relationship. And here's like a pro tip. A pro tip is, oh my gosh, there's so many pro tips. Where do I start?
Exactly. I was like,
here's one pro tip.
For people who don't think like that, I used to say, like, people are my currency. It's like, okay, I've met you now. Who, I feel so seen in the way you're describing how your brain works. But again, not everybody's brain and reaction works that way. So yes, let's get into some pro tips.
Absolutely. I do think that there's an art to it. And just like we learn how to, like, you can take a course if you want to learn how to make pasta, and I would need I've been to these cooking classes and I need all the steps and direction there. Please give it to me in writing too if you need. There is an art to this. A lot of these things, while they come naturally to me and to you, they certainly don't come naturally to other people. And everyone has their own tactic. For me, I like to be thoughtful and strategize. So I will meet people and I don't know exactly where or where not they're going to fit into my life on a personal, professional level. But let's even start with the professional, right? Like we'll focus on that. I'm not certain exactly where or if they're going to fit into my life, but I like to kind of almost bookmark it. And I've actually told partners this before, so people are actually well aware. There's this line that a lot of people constantly say at events where there's like time for networking and connection, which is like, oh, let's collaborate or let's do something together. And it's a really sweet line and it means well, but then it's kind of like, okay, then what? Right? So there's the then what phase. That is a nice statement. There's only positivity there. There's only want there, but then what? At some point, it's not enough to keep saying, let's collaborate, let's partner, let's do something together. At some point, you need to strategize on that, okay? If you really want to build this relationship or if you see it going somewhere. So I like to do several things. I like to have introductions organically, where, as I said, I may not even fully mention what I'm doing unless asked. And I really want to get to know that person, understand them. Are they shy? Are they not shy? Where do they stand? There's so much analysis happening. And then if I think that this is a relationship that I want to put some time into, then I take it off of that event. And it can be an email. If we've exchanged email addresses, my preference, everyone works differently, is Instagram. I am the queen. I mean, so many people would tell you this. I am the queen of Instagram friendships. I have so many Instagram friends. That's what I like to call them. And I start these relationships off. We've maybe met over Instagram through a connection or we've met in person and we take it to Instagram and it starts with DMs and it starts with supporting each other posts. And it may start with, oh, I saw her story that she's not feeling well and then I DM, hope you feel better. Or it may just be a heart emoji for something that she said on Instagram stories that touched me. And then it becomes maybe about an event that they're doing or something, a success story in their career. And then I'm supportive about it. And the relationship builds. And then the relationship can get taken to all new levels. So then it can be kind of voice notes for advice. And we're still not necessarily seeing each other because these people might not live right around me. Sometimes these are national connections and partnerships and relationships of which I'm probably never going to meet. And even the ones local, I will say as a perfect example, Risa Lake, who was a POWERUp speaker in June. And even Dorothy, who is a POWERUp speaker in May. I can talk about both. Dorothy I met in person at a party. Then we took the friendship to Instagram. Then we took the friendship back in person. And it became both a friendship, a genuine organic friendship. I'm going out for drinks with her tomorrow night. As well as it was a friendship for a while. And then finally, when POWERUp launched, I reached out to her and said, we're moving this over. We're going to move this from friendship, which, by the way, was an in-person friendship. Then we were doing lunches and dinners and seeing each other at parties and had common friends. And then I took it to the next level, only when it fits in and it's organic. Recently, we had an Instagram friendship We were supportive of each other. I absolutely knew I wanted to connect with her. She is a powerhouse in her industry, absolute global powerhouse and VP of Shop LTK. I then, after we kind of connected enough over Instagram, again, I never mentioned what I did to her ever. I mean, if she was interested, she could see my bio on Instagram. She could go to my website, go to my LinkedIn. Never mentioned. She followed my post. She was, I'm sure, aware. I knew what she was doing. Then we had a common friend. I said, put the plans together again over Instagram. We met for lunch in person. We really dug deep. We dug deep into what we were doing. We dug deep into our friend groups, into where we were before Fairfield County, into our history, how we got married, motherhood. We spoke very little about work because there was no imminent collaboration or partnership. But we connected over lunch and we knew we liked each other and there was good energy and we were both go-getters. And we had even mentioned that at the lunch with a friend. And then I continued that relationship. You cannot drop it.
Right.
And it can be as easy as an emoji on someone's Instagram story or LinkedIn or whatever it might be. Just staying in contact and being supportive. And then I took it to that next level when I invited her into POWERUp as our Power Chat speaker for June. So again, you don't have to go into a networking event knowing here's who I want to meet. Here's how I want to collaborate. Here's my elevator pitch. Here's how I'm going to partner. Relationships take time. There should be synergy. There should be alignment on all levels. And when the right opportunity comes, if you've stayed connected in an authentic way, you will then be able to grow that professional partnership and relationship. And it will feel so natural because you've been in touch maybe for a year or years already.
And it's not a cold call. It's not a pitch. And I also want to talk about sometimes if you go in with that preconceived notion, you don't allow time for the organic conversation for things that could be either different or more aligned or that synergy, which I think is also very hard for the person who's like, I got to go in, I got to meet 3 people, I have to come up with 4 sales leads, or I have to book this program. So that piece of listening and connecting the dots, no matter what the dots are for, and not even necessarily always knowing what those dots are going to lead to, but being open and curious, that process is so huge. You mentioned POWERUp, and I just want to give the reason we're sitting here, the commonality of besides being connectors is HAYVN. And the POWERUp series, again, is a classic example of how it came to be, but then second of all, how you're also literally taking what you do in this connecting and making connections and bringing people together, making it happen in real life. So can you give a little bit about a story of the POWERUp series and how it's working and a little insight for those who aren't familiar with it?
Absolutely. And I'll even rewind for a moment just to talk about Felicia and how that even came to be. Felicia, the founder of HAYVN, I knew her lightly because when I worked for Hey Mama, we would partner with co-working spaces around the country. And since I was actually situated in Fairfield County, I reached out to Felicia years ago and planned 2 co-working days at the Darien location on behalf of Hey Mama in order to get the Westchester Fairfield County moms together. And she opened her doors and we didn't know each other before then. And I absolutely adored her and the space and the energy in the space and the team. When Hey Mama was acquired, interestingly, by a HAYVN partner, Luminary, it was kind of this full circle moment. And I was randomly, this is just like the way the world works, randomly went to the HAYVN website. It must have been maybe February or March of 2025. And I really was looking to see like, hey, oh my gosh, wonder what like events they have coming up, really on a personal level.
Right,
Not
exactly.
professional at all. Like, oh, okay, haven't seen Felicia, haven't been connected with Felicia in a while. I wonder what's going on in HAYVN. And what did I see? I saw they had a Greenwich location opening up soon. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, that's interesting. And I'm in Greenwich and I worked basically for a partner. If you think about it, and I would do stuff for Luminary all the time as well. And what did I do? I emailed Felicia. I had her email address. I emailed Felicia. I reconnected with her and said, hey, it's Penny. Remember me? I'm the one who hosted the Hey Mama events at your Darien location. I see you have a Greenwich location. Why don't I just come in for a chat? next time you're going to be in the Greenwich location pre-opening, I'll just come in for a chat. Let's reconnect.
Nice.
That's really what it was about. And so fast forward, she tasks me with getting people in the door and how can I connect and how can I bring together the community in Greenwich in this beautiful, amazing, newly launched location of hers. How can I get the HAYVN word out to adjacent but different type of community and different women, especially. And that's where we ideated on POWERUp, which was really, again, I'm really in the women's leadership space. That is my forte, connecting women leaders with brands. That's my specialty. And so it really came out of that, linking and aligning my passion and my expertise with her needs for HAYVN, and we're building a Power Up series that allows for Power Connect time, that allows for Power Chat time with high profile, local, incredible female leaders, and bringing amazing trailblazing women through that door, whether they be philanthropists, whether they be stay-at-home moms, whether they be female founders, whether they be executives in corporates, whoever they are. And we've had a man or two who have sat in the back because they actually think the series is just so cool and amazing and they want to be a part of it. And of course, everyone's welcome, but it is directed and focused to women's leadership. And here is the beauty. We had we've had May, June, July, 3 incredible months and proof of concept where we had very successful RSVPs and turnouts in a jam-packed room and incredible speakers and amazing testimonials post these power-ups, and the excitement of repeat guests and new guests coming every single month. We're entering into our 4th month. We've had so far Dorothy from That Greenwich Life. We've had Risa Lake from Shop LTK. We've had Dr. Kim Nichols from Nichols MD Dermatology. We have Fran Hauser, New York Times bestselling author in August. We have Amy Ghazi, a huge New England and national content creator with her own fashion line. We have the Chief Marketing Officer, Bethany Evans of Roan, an enormous national, maybe global athleisure line that is just like sales hitting through the roofs. And it just keeps going. So we have this incredible lineup, and I will share here very exciting news that the granola bar has come on as the official caterer of the POWERUp series. Again, female founded by Dana and Julie. So we are so excited to welcome the granola bar and their incredible catering to the series.
You heard it here
every
first,
single
people.
month.
That's
Hear
great.
it here first. Exactly. We are aligned with Greenwich Lifestyle Magazine, our media sponsor. Again, female founded by Laura Sabia. You can hear the pattern and the theme of this women's leadership power-up series. And I'm super excited also for us here to announce that we're still working out the details, but we have officially welcomed an incredible new business, female founded, based out of the city and Greenwich, to the series. We will welcome them in this fall sometime. So this is like really a sneak peek, okay? Because we don't even know the exact timing. Well by Messer with Dr. Caroline K. Messer, who is a New York City-based endocrinologist who has 2 practices in the city and now 1 in Greenwich.
Wow.
Her team has come on as another sponsor for the POWERUP series. So again, these are female-founded powerhouse sponsors, powerhouse partners, powerhouse speakers, and powerhouse guests. And we are putting it all under this umbrella. Straight at HAYVN. I host a curate, and I just love it.
Listeners, if you cannot tell from Penny's enthusiasm, this is just a fraction of the, as you said earlier, energy that happens in these rooms. So I consider this your invitation if you haven't already participated, or come back for more if you have. Penny, thank you so much for your time, for your enthusiasm, for your energy, and for being such a wonderful partner with HAYVN. For people who want to reach out to you and start making those connections on Instagram or elsewhere, what is the best way to reach you?
Listen, the number one best way, first point of contact for me is Instagram at @ThatPennyLife. I'm really on top of my DMs, and I might shoot you a voice memo back because sometimes I get tired of typing. That's the primary way. But of course, you can take to LinkedIn. I do check my DMs there as well, just not as often, but I do. And I would say email. But for me, email's not just like the quick hello. It's like if you have a pitch, if you really want to partner and you have some great ideas and you want to get a meeting on the books, then email is fantastic for that.
And if somebody wants your email, they can find it from your DMs. They can DM you to get started.
That's it. Okay. Or go to my website, pennygoffman.com.
Perfect. Penny, thank you so much for your time. This has been great. I feel like my energy level, heart rate, and everything's like all excited about the power. And again, speaking to the testament of the HAYVN community. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Nancy. This is such a pleasure. And I can't wait to keep on connecting.
Me either. And to listeners, thank you for listening, and you keep on connecting. And one way you could do that is sharing the power of the HAYVN Hubcast. So if you like what you hear, please make sure you're a subscriber. Share this very special connected episode with somebody who you know who is interested in connecting. And if you haven't, we love reviews. Apple's a great place to start, or whatever platform you listen to. Thanks for listening to the HAYVN Hubcast.
Thanks for listening to the HAYVN Hubcast, a place to learn what business leaders and owners are doing to navigate and grow in today's market. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. HAYVN is a co-working space and virtual community located in the heart of Fairfield County, Connecticut. HAYVN is a hub for business owners and professionals to connect, create, and get stuff done. Find out more about the HAYVN community online at hayvn.com. That's HAYVN.com. HAYVN Hubcast is produced by Sound Advice Strategies.